Good morning, my soul family. Danya Sperry here, spokesperson for Aubriana Rose. Today we're going to be touching on the four square breath that we learned in last week's lesson. But we're going to add a little bit to it to beef it up and make it even more potent and more magical, if you will. Essentially, healthier is what it will do for us. One of my dear friends and sister is Patricia Cotto-Robles. And in one of her recent videos, she talked about the oxygen on our planet and how the oxygen, as we know, is very polluted and it's reaching higher levels of pollutants within our oxygen. So of course, when we're breathing this in, our body is not necessarily compromised, but our body is working at a harder level to filter out the toxins from this polluted air that we're breathing. So when we're doing this four square breath that I taught you last week, we're going to add to it. And we'll do it just a couple of times so that you have an idea. And please feel free to pause this video as often as you need to write down. When we're inhaling at the count of 4 with a soft, gentle flow, and then we're holding that breath for the count of 4 with a soft, gentle flow, then exhaling with that soft, gentle flow, and then holding it again with that soft, gentle flow. We will be thinking in our mind silently on the in-breath. I am in-breathing God's pure source oxygen. Now, when we're holding it, we will be thinking to ourselves silently, I am assimilating God's pure source oxygen. On our exhale, we will be silently thinking, I am expanding God's pure source oxygen. And then we hold a moment longer for the silent thought of, I am projecting God's pure source oxygen. So that's what we're going to add to the four square breath. So you're obviously not going to be hearing me think, but I will say it out loud as if I am doing the breath. We're inhaling with the mental thought, I am in-breathing God's pure source oxygen. Holding our breath, I am assimilating God's pure source oxygen. Exhaling, I am expanding God's pure source oxygen. Hold the breath. I am projecting God's pure source oxygen. So it's an inhale, hold, exhale, hold. Then we inhale again. Now, the more we do this, what are we doing? We're making our life healthier, for one, but we are programming our mind to believe that we are bringing this pure source oxygen into our body, therefore it's more healing. So we're working on a psychological level, a spiritual level, and a healing level. So I'm grateful that my spiritual community has taught us another portion to this four square breath that I've been doing for roughly 10 years now. Now we're going to touch on trauma, and I'm going to read only one paragraph from Free Me From My Cage. And again, I do realize it is backwards, so I do apologize for that. And the first paragraph I'm going to read is just roughly 1 minute. It's on verbal abuse. And please keep in mind that it is just a small portion. What subconsciously is underneath the surface, we can't touch on in one paragraph, but it gives the audience, the listener, an idea. And of course, I want to mention one more thing as well. The trilogy of Free Me From My Cage is a true story of Aubriana's abuses on multiple levels, on repeated daily, and how she overcame it. But these are just precursors, just little snippets to help you, my beautiful Soul Family audience, understand what she went through and how she overcame these tragedies. Verbal abuse. There are different levels of verbal abuse. Some verbal abuse is done in a sneaky, underhanded way. The abuser will turn a situation around on the victim, making it appear as if it's his or her fault. That's psychological abuse, which causes a person to question their sanity and therefore excusing the abuser's behavior. In fact, verbal abuse is far more dangerous than physical abuse. By no means am I underestimating physical abuse. It's a horrible, life-threatening, and demoralizing experience to be physically harmed, especially from someone claiming to love you. However, the terrifying effects of verbal abuse is what it does to our mind. The innocent victim is essentially having his or her brain raped. The more we become consciously aware of our thought patterns and correct the negativity and bring it back to peace, inner peace within us, we are in control of our thoughts, not our thoughts being in control of us. I want to teach you one more form of breath work, and it is called the Sitali tongue. Now, some of you may not be able to do this form of breath work, and if not, it's all right. I just don't want you to be frustrated. You could at least follow along to the best of your ability. The Sitali tongue is what I have always called is the taco tongue. When we're little kids, we love to stick out our tongue and do this little fun curl. But before I teach you the Sitali tongue, I want to help you understand why it's really, truly important for us. And I don't want to get into the depth of all of it. I want to keep it simple as possible. Our tongue, there are many, many elements of our tongue, but the top portion of our tongue is the fire element, and it's connected with the masculine part of our body. And underneath our tongue is the water element, and it's connected to the feminine part of our body. And then the tip of our tongue is connected to our heart. So you're going to find out exactly how it feels very shortly. It's really a cool sensation. When we curl our tongue and we inhale through our tongue, almost as if it's a straw, we're cooling off the fire element, which takes place on many different levels within our body, the liver being one. So if a person has been traumatized or has unreleased righteous anger is what I would like to call it, where you should be able to speak your truth and you're not able to because you'll be harmed, you'll be hurt. Therefore, you store it within the body. It becomes toxic within us. So it actually harms our liver. So this breath is not only going to cool the liver, but it also, believe it or not, if you go somewhere in the summertime and you're in an area where it's very hot, it will prevent heat stroke if you do this Sitali tongue, which is really cool to know. All right, so as promised, I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. So we're going to be making a straw or a taco. And we're going to be inhaling through that, not through our nose. We're going to be sucking the air through the tongue like this. Then we're going to bring our tongue into our mouth, close our lips, and have a slight smile on our face. Hold that breath for the count of 4. And then exhale that breath through our nose, not our mouth. Now our hands are going to be held in this position gently, not pressing hard, but just gentle and sitting in our lap. This grounds us as well. So again, let's do that together. It's inhale through our curled tongue. Bring the tongue in. Hold the breath. Slight smile. Exhale slowly through your nose. Now, when you do that 3 or 4 times, I know even just with one, I notice a grounding, very calm sensation come over me. So can you imagine doing that for 5 minutes? How good you're going to feel? I know, because I do it regularly, especially in the summertime. So, thank you so much for staying connected with our community, for healing trauma, bringing happiness and joy into our life. And thank you, really, truly, thank you. I'm just really grateful that you're tuning in and watching and observing different tools to make you happier, healthier, and now you've learned some more as far as bringing in the mental tools for your breathing the 4 square breath with the oxygen, bringing in those mental thoughts. Okay? Thank you again for joining us. I'll see you next week. I love you, my beautiful family. Bye.